Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video title The Architecture of Excuses. There is a peculiar elegance to a well crafted excuse. It arrives polished, plausible, and often persuasive, just enough truth woven into its fabric to pass as reason. For those who rely on them habitually, excuses become more than momentary defenses. They form an entire architecture, a carefully maintained structure that shields the individual from a discomfort, responsibility, and most critically, self examination. At first glance, excuses seem harmless. Everyone uses them occasionally to navigate social expectations or soften failure. Yet for some, they evolve into a reflex. A missed deadline becomes the fault of timing. A broken commitment is blamed on circumstances. A lack of progress is attributed to forces beyond control. Over time, this pattern ceases to be situational and instead becomes foundational, a default way of engaging with the world. What makes a habitual excuse making so insidious as its subtlety? Unlike outright denial, excuses acknowledge a reality just enough to avoid confrontation while still redirecting accountability. This creates the illusion of honesty without the burden of change. The individuals remain comfortable but also stagnant. Growth requires friction and an honest reckoning with one's limitations and choices, and excuses smooth that friction into complacency. Psychologically, excuses serve as protective mechanisms. They guard self esteem, preserving a sense of competence and control. Admitting fault can be threatening, especially in environments where mistakes are harshly judged. In this sense, excuses are not born from laziness alone, but often from fear of failure, criticism, or inadequacy. However, what begins as protection can become a prison. By constantly deflecting a responsibility, individuals limit their ability to adapt, improve, and ultimately succeed. Socially, the consequences are equally significant. Trust erodes when excuses replace accountability. Colleagues, friends, and family members begin to recognize patterns, and credibility suffers. Over time, even valid explanation may be dismissed, overshadowed by a history of deflection. Relationships rely on reliability, and a habitual excuse making undermines that foundation. Breaking free from this cycle requires a shift in perspective. It demands viewing a responsibility not as a threat, but as an opportunity and an entry point to growth rather than a verdict of failure. This does not mean abandoning exploration altogether. Context matters, and, and not all outcomes are within one's control. The differences lies in ownership, taking responsibility even partially reclaims agency and opens a door to improvement. In the end, excuses are merely words, they are choices. Each one either reinforces a pattern of avoidance or challenges. The architecture of excuses may be intricate, even impressive in its construction, but it is ultimately unsustainable. Sooner or later, reality demands more than justifications.